Welcome back, ball fans. We'd like to thank you for taking your time out of your day to watch us and join us as we give us a little overview of yesterday's game against the Roadrunners, Bob.
Yeah, Tim, obviously won 45-14, but everybody knows that, obviously. We're going to get into a few little things here. And what are your general overview of the game, Tim? I mean,
Well, if I had one word, that'd probably be consistency. We came out smoking hot. Joe's 81-yard touchdown run looked like a superstar, big man motoring down that sideline.
Right.
But just like every week, we have dead spells, either offense or defense, or actually most of them both.
Yeah.
To be honest about it.
Yeah, I thought we looked really good up until the Milton knee scare. I was pretty happy with things up until that point. And then I don't know if it was Milton. It seemed like be a little bit of Miltonness and a little bit of play calling. I mean, we went into just like, hey, we're just going to run it straight to the middle. And,
Well, we definitely wasn't going to run Joe over no wire for that right there.
yeah, and I don't know, man. If you're not going to run him, this offensive line is not good enough to not have the quarterback run the ball. So if the quarterback's not a threat to run the ball, then we're not going to be able to move the ball consistently down the field, in my opinion. You might as well, to me, if I was the coach after seeing what happened, I probably would put Nico in the game at that point anyway. He needs some reps. That just shows you, hey, how quickly your quarterback, your season,
Next man up.
be prepared. Get him in there. Let's play him. I mean, Milton's looked good. He got some good reps. We're basically a full half in. Give him the games in hand. Let Nico play. See what he's got. Because if something happens to Joe,
I'm putting Joe back in after a series or two. Let him get on the sideline, let him get looked at, put him on a bicycle to keep that knee moving, and then send him back in maybe at the first drive of the second half or something.
But yeah, Milton did not play well after the knee thing. I don't know if you said.
I don't think he was stepping into his throws.
And that probably was it. I'd probably been the same way.
I'll be honest about it. It looked bad. I thought he was.
I thought for sure. Oh, he's done.
Okay, we're down to one quarterback now.
Yeah.
And no people I haven't got about Gaston Moore, but let's be honest about it. We all get excited about players in the spring, and while I think he could run the offense to a degree, let's face it, we got two quarterbacks that we want to see the snaps.
Gaston Moore, I think, can get you through a game. But if he's your starter, the next game, teams are going to they're going to game plan for his limitations. Yeah. So yeah, we don't want a quarterback injuries for sure. Another thing, Tim, is thanks guys for watching and like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Speaking of injuries, Tim, what about the other injuries?
Well, you're probably going to hear a whole lot on this for any time soon. In fact, I'll be honest about it. With Heupel, we probably won't know much about his injury situation until Saturday.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, this is where we had multiple guys went out and did not come back in. A couple that did come back in or could have come back in, but Brew, Ramel, John Campbell,
Bailey went out.
Right, yeah, which that could be a concussion, so
that's what that looked like. It didn't look like none of them serious. I think the one that looked most serious to me might have been Ramel, maybe. But one thing about it, though, I didn't see Brew back in the game at any point.
Yeah, I never saw what got hurt on.
Yeah, I don't either. And then he just kind of disappeared. It looked very similar to the way Pilly just kind of left the game and never come back. So I hope it's not like something like that. But yeah.
No, so we definitely have to have one of our sophomores step up big time.
Which Webb looked good on that touchdown catch.
Yeah, I'm talking about, unfortunately, I think Nimrod didn't look good, but he could have brought in that other touchdown.
Sure, yeah. That's one of our problems, supposedly, with the people that watches these games that knows the offense. They say that some of these mistakes are not just on Joe. It is receivers not running the route exactly where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
3 yards in here, a turn too much here. I mean, there's a lot of, consistency within the route running between the quarterback and the wide receiver's got to be on the same page.
Yeah, yeah. The word is that it's a shared responsibility over culpability, as it is, so to speak, on our passing game right now.
The next thing I was going to talk about, Tim, was defensively. We went into a lapse there around the same time when McCown came in and went 18 for 20.
Yeah, well, he was on fire. But I mean, it was all little chip throws. I mean,
It was, which we did have a lot of backups in there at that point, which we have backups in there all the time. So
yeah, particularly defensive line. We'll be third stringer in about 6 series sometimes. I mean,
yeah, we did not have our full starting lineup in there for whenever McCown was in there. So I'm not, and we was penetrating a lot more too, whenever the first quarter of the game. So I'm not too concerned about that, but that is something we're going to have to play tight coverage. We'll get into the whole next game with Rattler too much because we'll have a preview of that one, but we've got to tighten the coverage up.
what do we do? I mean, McCown was like 90%, but he had one long pass. I mean, obviously it was a run after catch.
Yeah.
For the 43-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, it was just short all day long. Unfortunately, teams can do that against us without fear of really any adjustment, it seems like.
Yeah, we've got to tighten it up. We've got to mix it up. We've got to bring more pressure, probably. Just play like we did last year. I mean, except for tighter coverage.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you can say that's one thing for 3 years now.
But one injury we didn't mention, well, two we probably should mention, is the Slaughter, which I think probably would have played had it been a big time game yesterday. We need him back. That would help in that area, which we just talked about.
Yeah, although I thought Loggins played pretty well.
He did.
When I noticed it.
Mm-hmm. And Mays. We've got to get Mays back. I'm off the line to not look that great. I know we ran 9.2 yards a rush,
Which generally indicates a dominant offensive line performance.
but man, I don't know if anybody else is like me, but I watched that game, and that did not feel like a 9.2 yards a rush game. I've seen too many times where we was trying to get 1 yard or 2 yard and couldn't do it against the UTSA, which they're a decent team. I'm not going to say that they wouldn't.
Preseason top 25 in some people's books now. Obviously, it wasn't in our books. We discussed it throughout our
We thought they
episode
were
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was not a game we were ever truly concerned about. And if you go back and listen to some of our other podcasts, all year long, I've been expecting this to be a blowout.
Yeah, you did. You was really pushing this one. And this one would have been a lot more if we really wanted to. This was not a 45-14 game.
Yeah, we could have won names for.
We could have won by 45, 50 points, no problem. But we got to get Mays back. If not, we're going to have struggles going forward.
Well, I'm concerned, if we don't see him this week, I'd throw the chance that the percent at all drops, maybe 90% chance we don't see him at all this year. If we don't see him by after the open date against A&M, we just not seeing him this year.
Yeah, there were some rumors to come out there this past week. Now, I don't like to get into rumors, but because they're generally not accurate, but that he may have a second procedure or something. That's probably not true. But if something happens, he don't play this week, I'm going to start thinking that rumor might be goes up some, you know. But what else we got, Tim? We talked about the cold spells.
Oh, yeah.
How Milton's kind of dropped off. We talked about the injuries.
Well, before I'll tell you what, let's talk about Dylan Sampson for a minute. You know, we can talk about some negatives from yesterday if we want to, but we had a 45-14 game when you had Dylan Sampson looked like a star out there.
I've thought all year long that Wright should be the starter. But, man, I like Jabbar Small. But Sampson gives us that breakaway. I mean, I really thought should get more pub going into the season, but everybody's like, you know, he was number 3 guy. But man, he looks good to me. I mean, he's a game breaker.
The thing you like about Sampson is his vision. Everybody knows he got. Yeah, he's got the Jalen Wright speed, but he's got it's like he got better vision. He can weave much better than Wright does, to be honest about it. He just don't have the physicality yet.
Yeah, I think that's his issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Aji's just don't play as big as the other two backs do.
Yeah. And he's not as big, but
Right.
he'll get bigger and stronger as he, stays down there in the weight room. But his ability to see the field and to weave through traffic is the best on the team.
Yeah, he should have got some run in that Florida game. I'm not sure what's up with that, but the fact that he didn't get anything in that Florida game, he really should be our number two back, in my opinion. I mean, and maybe he will be going forward, maybe.
All right, I can't leave off here without bringing up one more thing that's going to kill me. And if I don't, last week we caught some grief from a couple of Gator fans that tried to say we blamed the refs on the loss, and which we did not. We definitely got on the refs because they absolutely deserve it.
Yeah.
And this will prove that we're not blaming on the loss on the refs, because we'll blame the win and still say that the refs sucked.
Yeah.
These are 3 straight games we've had horrible officiating go against us. It's amazing how poorly called yet another game was. Wasn't as bad as the last 2, but many bad calls. Well, just head scratching calls. I don't have a big problem with 50-50 bang plays, because anybody can miss those. But there are on some plays, like, how do you miss the Nico getting his head ripped off when you've got the umpire standing about 14 foot away, and you look at the replays, he's not looking over to the left, he's not looking over to the right. He was looking directly at the play.
I thought that was a really bad call. The T-Lander personal foul. I mean, if you're going to call that, you can call that 30 times a game. I mean,
that was head scratching. I don't have a problem with that call if it's been chippy up to that point and the sides are looking like we're going to have a fight. There wasn't any of that at that point.
The pick play that they determined wasn't a pick play. That was a head scratcher. Pass interference. I mean, there's
that pass interference they didn't call on the keeping touchdown catch. That's about the easiest call you'll ever see right there. I mean, right in front of the guy. That was making heavy interference leading into that.
Not looking back.
If he hadn't caught the ball, we'd been screaming for a flag on that.
I never saw the flag come out, so they probably weren't going to call it.
They weren't going to call it.
But yeah, I understand that. I'm a numbers guy. I can't believe that, law averages will flip. And, man, they're going to have to really flip hard these last few games. We sure ain't been getting the calls.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it evens out and in the year it's all even, then we're probably 11-1, because we'll win some ball games with the bad calls.
Yeah.
Golly, it's bad. And I think a lot of it's probably just general incompetence.
Yeah,
probably. I'm not going to blame all of this on general incompetence at this point.
Well, I mean, it's got to average out at some point, unless it's something other than.
Well, never ex-voted Houston if they ever averaged out.
Yeah, it didn't. That guy, man. I remember I was a kid when he was coaching, and he would just sit there on the bench and not say a word. And he got more bad calls than I have ever seen any coach ever. I mean, he was a bad coach. He was not going to be successful at UT regardless. But that guy got the worst reffing that I had ever seen, and he would just sit there and never say a word.
It's a shame because, Wade Houston, everything I know about him, a good man.
That's what I heard again.
And he was not going to be successful, just if nothing else, for the officiating. And I'm not saying that's why he wasn't. Don't get me wrong, but I felt bad for the man.
Yeah, you've got to raise Cain. You've got to say something to the officials during the game. You've got to go to the SEC office. I mean, after these last 2 games, I would have left and went down to Birmingham to the SEC officials office and hand delivered the tape and said, "Can you explain this to me?"
Yeah.
I mean, how's this right here?
At what point do you not take a fine too?
You've got to at some point, I think. If this don't get fixed, you've got to take a fine. And, we'll put up a GoFundMe for Heupel if he wants to do that. I don't care. I'll pitch in on that one. I don't care if the man doesn't make millions. I'll help pay for his fine.
Proud to do it.
I would.
Well, I will say this right here. I mean, if you go too far, they'll punish you for that, which tells you about their integrity right there. If they're intentionally punishing you for your actions and not for actual fouls on the field.
Right.
And I know it happens because we've had testimony several years back in a case where a referee pointed out that someone had said some things about officiating And the officials in a basketball game thought that the person should have been suspended, but he was only fined. And during the course of the game, um, the player who had spoken out, I believe it was a player, if I remember correctly now, the player spoken out just asked the ref, he goes, how long is this going to go on? And the ref said, I just looked at him and said, we'll see.
Right. Right. So we know stuff like that goes on. But hopefully we'll get things going back in our direction and get some good calls going forward.
Well, I love about our favorite people. Just remember to join us for updates throughout the week, see what's going on, where we're at, and of course our preview of the South Carolina game.
Oh yeah, well, that'll be coming up. We might even have another video or two somewhere in there. But go Vols.
Go Big Orange.